Hello and welcome to my retro watches. Now, do any of you remember the video that I did on the build your own watch, which was supplied by a company called DIY Watch Club? I'll put a picture of that watch up now. Now that kit was brilliant, I thought, because this is a company that's selling a product where you can pick your own dials, your own hands, and you can try to assemble the watch itself. It's not terribly complicated, but to the novice, it is pretty tricky, but very, very rewarding. Now, I've backed that company ever since because I've always thought that anyone who's trying to do that, even as a business, is driving more interest into this hobby, and people who might try that might also get into hobbyist watchmaking as well. So win-win all round. Now then, DIY Watch Club, they've not sat still at all. They've been pushing the envelope a little bit further, and they've come out with a hand bluing kit, and I've got it in this very box here. Now, what is hand bluing? Hand bluing is a technique where you heat the hands to a certain temperature, and through oxidization the hand is going to change through various colors to a particular blue, and then you've got to quench the hand and set the color. This has actually been around since the 16th century from what I've been told, certainly by DIY Watch Club. And it's going to be really interesting to try. This is a proper traditional method, and what a great product. I have to say, a great product. So this is going to be really hands-on. I'm going to show you the kit, and I'm going to try this for the very first time because I've not done it before. I think it's going to be entertaining, because after that, once we've done some hands, we can probably do some screws. So if any of you are modders out there, or you just want to improve the movements that you've got, certainly anything that's got a clear case back, then we can possibly blue some screws as well. How good is that? I'm actually going to do it on the DIY Watch Club watch. It's got the boring old NH35 movement in it. Let's try and jazz that one up, hopefully. So stick with me. Let's go to the bench. I'll show you the kit. We'll get set up and we'll get bluing. So in front of me, I've got the box with the kit in. Just thought I'd quickly bring this into shot. So this has got blued hands. See how they're changing blue? I know the light is not very good here. Now, this is a pocket watch from 1886. It is actually broken at the moment. It's got a Waltham movement in it, and something I'm hoping perhaps to bring to the channel, because I've never done a pocket watch, but it's got some broken parts that at the moment, given the fact of how old this is, I'm struggling to find the parts. But there you go. That is proper traditional blued hands. A bit possibly unlike what is on this watch, which I don't really think is traditional blued hands. But there we go. So this is the case. We get a little envelope. In the envelope, there's not much special. It is a welcome board card. It gives you a discount. They have got excellent tutorials on this. I will be leaving a link below because you would be following along to that. But what have we got? So we got a pair of tweezers, big long tweezers. They're Vitius, and which is a Swiss make, which is pretty good. We have a heat mat even underneath all the foam. We then get the kit. Just need to put that mat somewhere. So we have some brass filings and the actual kit itself, the bluing torch, which we're going to need some butane for, a tray, and in here we have some finger cots and some bits and pieces that I may or may not need. We also have some very neatly packed hands. In this kit, it's sent, I've got 5-hour hands, 5-minute hands, and a plethora of second hands. Look how well packed they are as well. Look, they all come in these little folders inside, and then they're all like this. So it's crazy. Presumably I must have problems with second hands because they've sent quite a lot of them. So maybe they might be a bit more challenging, who knows. So essentially that is the kit. We've got a little dish as well because we need to use distilled water for quenching. So I'm going to set this up on the bench. So first of all, I need to put some filings in the tray, and these are for just distributing the heat and giving the hand a good surface to sit on. Now don't worry, they are going to cool down eventually once we've heated them up, and you will be able to reuse them. So I'm literally, because I've never done this before, I'm just following DIY's instructions, and that is to make yourself a nice layer. I'll flatten that off a bit better first, and to heat it up with nothing in it to start with, to get used to where the optimal temperature is going to be. So we are looking at, I think it's 310 degrees Celsius, which I can't remember what it is in Fahrenheit. I did my homework and I forgot. It's 500 and something. But what's going to happen is this is going to change to a brownie colour or a dark brownie, and then it'll go to purple or a purplish colour. And if it goes to purple, basically it's too hot. So we're going to use the torch for that. We start it up. We all know, hopefully, that the tip is the hottest point. And I am literally just going to keep passing this over to see the colour change. Now I can see some colour change already, but whether that's coming through on the video, I don't know. I'm also at a very tricky angle because I've got double cameras. The suggestion is just to keep passing that over. Now I can already see in the middle it's gone a bit too dark. I'm already getting too hot, but then that's good because this is a practice run, right? So they also say to turn down on the torch to a lower setting so it's then not as aggressive. So I can see now that that's got a nice sort of even temperature. And I'm going to try and take it past that now to where it shouldn't be. For my own benefit more than anything else, so I know where I've got to be. So there in a moment it's still only dark purple right in the centre. But I think hopefully you can see that. So we've gone a little bit too hot, and now I have to leave that to cool down. Okay, I'm all set up to try the first hand, the sacrificial lamb, if you will. This is an hour hand. Now, there's strict instructions. You do not touch the hand with your fingers at all. If you do, then you've got to clean it in some acetone. Any marks, any scratches, anything is going to show through the blue. So the best handling possible is required. Now, just also before I start, and maybe a critic if I am trying to review this product, I've had to print this off. So I'm going to try and bring it in. So these are the colours it's going to go. So it's going to go straw, light brown, brown, dark brown, purple and blue. You can see the temperatures of the range there as well. And this was on their video, actually flashed up, and I just took a screenshot. And I think realistically DIY Watch Club should supply this in a little card format in the set, to be honest with you, because then at least you've got a sort of crib sheet to work to. Now what they do say is heat it up slowly, take your time. When it goes to purple, you know you're somewhere close, so perhaps take the flame away and bring it in gradually. I've got two cameras set up. This is going to be really difficult, I think, because of the two cameras, because yeah, not ideal for my first time. But without further ado, let's have a go, shall we? I can already see it going to the straw colour. There is a definite change. The idea is on your first attempt as well, is if you're worried about it, take the flame away, because you can always heat it up again, but once it's gone past the blue, you're going to have to repolish the hand or try to use another one, which might be what I have to do. So again, I can now see that changing colour again. I'm just going to have a look at it. I don't want to get the filings too red hot. So difficult for me to say what colour that's gone now, maybe dark brown. So I'm anxiously waiting now for perhaps the purple to start coming through. Now that part I will start to panic. Hopefully take it steady into the blue. And here we go, it is now starting to go to purple. That's really cool actually. So it's to know when it's gone blue, and to me that's now blued. So I've got to take it out quickly with my tweezers, not touching anything because it's all really hot. I've got to quench it in the water. That's going to set the colour. And then I need to dry the hand with a bit of tissue. And just dab dry. You won't be able to see this, I don't think. And that will be my first ever blued hand. So I'm now going to try round 2, which is the hour hand. And I guess the hard part is to match the blue, and I'm not confident actually, because again, with all the camera equipment in the way and certain poor lighting actually, I think it's going to be really difficult. But this is going to be just for fun. Hopefully I can make a better set perhaps off camera for the benefit of the watch later on. So here we go again. It is definitely a real fun thing to do. Just doing that one there was really cool, and I can see myself using this kit constantly, to be honest with you, just for the fun of like turning screws blue, obviously hands if I can, but yeah, different to the watchmaking I'm used to of just trying to repair watches. So if you're modding watches as well, this is going to be a real cool thing to do. There are actually ways to get different types of blue. So if you heat one end up, you can take it to that very light blue on that sheet, and it'll sort of give you a variation of colours all the way down the hand, which looks really cool from what I've seen on their demonstration. So I'm just a little bit worried there that the filings might be getting a bit too hot, and I can see the hand has possibly gone to brown or even dark brown. So I'm going to let that just cool a little bit. I can see now actually the purple coming in. I'd love to know how much this is coming out on camera. And I need to get while I'm doing that, I'll get my little pot of water ready. So this is quite good actually, because you can just let it cool down and it will set the colour a bit slower perhaps. So we're looking that we're on purple, albeit but the very tip of that hand. And again, I'm going to take it off, just have a look. Definite purple. And I can just see the blue coming in, I think. Part of me wants to keep lighting this thing. Just one last little burst. I guess I can take it off and compare and always put it back on. And this is the hard part for me, is trying to navigate all of the kit. So that's that one set. But is it anywhere near the one that I want? Okay, so the hour hand is done. I'm not too sure, to be honest with you. Again, I'm going to keep talking about the lighting here. I always do these things on the fly. I'm going to take these out in the daylight in a moment, take some photographs. But I thought, for kicks, let's do the second hand. Now, I'm guessing this might take a little bit less because it's a thinner piece of steel, perhaps. But equally, it's still got to get to temperature. And I do have, well, it's advisable, should I say, to get better lighting. See, to me, that is already pretty much at purple, and I've had no time at all on that. Now, I'm not sure on this one, to be honest. I think I might have gone past the temperature. I keep turning it up to full power as well on the gas burner. Actually, I think it's just starting to go purple. I'm just concentrating on the tail end of that hand so I can just get a glimmer, and actually I think we are there. Okay, before I start talking about the hands, I've got to say this has been great fun. It's been difficult to film so far, but when I took the camera out of the way and actually was able to sit at my bench and do it properly, which I've got some footage of, I've had an absolute scream doing it. It's been really good fun. So different to just repairing watches, to actually create something. Yeah, really, really good, and a great idea from DIY Watch Club. So what you can see now is my first set. So this is the first set I did, and it is quite difficult because you need very good lighting, and you kind of have to have the reflection, which is difficult because even now I can't quite see it on this little camera screen that I've got. So the first set was okay. The hour hand here, there is a little mark on it, a little scratch or something, imperfection, which I didn't notice, to be fair, until afterwards. And if I'm honest, it's hard to say what you guys can see. Sometimes if I move them around, you get to see the shine. The hour hand is probably gone past the blue, slightly into the light blue area, although I do like it. The second hand, I had it upside down as well, which was a bit foolish, but there you go. It is really difficult to see. But overall, I was impressed, but I was so impressed that I did another set. So I'm going to try and slide the next set into view. And there we have it. And again, not sure whether they are reflecting well. It's so difficult to actually film these and get you to see them in this light. Perhaps if I move the paper, maybe they'll glint a little bit. So again, the second set was a lot better. Had obviously a bit more practice by this point, but again seems to be the hour hand that caused me a bit of trouble. It's still quite purple around the hole there, so I didn't quite get it up to temperature enough, but I was very, very pleased. That minute hand looks really good, and so does the second hand. So it kind of took me on, and I did another set. Well, I didn't quite do a set. I wanted to show you a couple of things. So for a start, I did another hour hand, and this one I'd like to say is perfect. It's certainly got a good colour about it. It's so difficult to tell, like I say, with this. I took it out in the daylight, actually. Daylight didn't help me whatsoever, not for filming. So maybe this one is perhaps a touch on the light blue scale, I don't know. But what I did here, and I'm hoping to God this is coming out on film, is something that DIY Watch Club say in their video. They've got a really, really useful video, and I'm going to put a link down below, and I suggest you check it out. Even if you're not going to have this kit, you want to learn this process, their video is invaluable. So what they suggested is, if you wanted this sort of, well, gradient effect, is to heat up one end only. So that's what I did here. So I just heated up the eye end. That eventually turns sort of like the light blue, and then you've got it all cascading down to the brown at the tip. And that is actually really nice effect, to be honest with you. Perhaps I could do a whole set like that and use them, but it was just kind of giving you some ideas really of the things that you can do to play around with. Now in the next part of this video, I'm going to show you a kit that they've also sent me with some tools in it, and bless them, they've actually put a watch kit in there that I can fit these hands to. So that's going to be good fun. So that's going to come up in just a moment, but also wanted then to tell you that I went on to do some screw bluing. So I'm going to put some footage of me messing around trying to take screws out one by one. Now the reason we do something one by one, or what I've been told the reason is because simply if you're doing two, it's going to be quite difficult to make sure they get matched, and then equally you've got to pick them up and quench them, and you can only pick them up one at a time. And if your filings are too hot, that little fiddle of trying to pick up the screw or the hand, quench it and go back for the other one could then have lost the colour. It could have gone one further up the scale. So therefore trying to do them one at a time is it's certainly a challenge with screws. And then again, DIY Watch Club, they have got a video just on bluing of screws, which is really interesting. They're showing you how different effects and different finishes you get depending on the type of screw. Now I tried it first of all with their NH35 watch that they sent me previously, and I took a screw, I took the balance cock screw actually, heated it right up to as hot as it would go, and it didn't change colour at all. So I cooled it and then put it in a pin vise and then heated it up again, and this time I got the end to go blue, which was quite good, but it wasn't very good in the end. The finished result wasn't as pleasing. I'll put some shots of that up now so you can see. Overall it was okay, and I think really I need to go back and try and do this again. It's difficult. You need to sort of put some finish onto the end of the screw using a bit of wet and dry on a flat surface and the screw in a pin vise. So there's a lot more involved. After that I took a Miyota 9015 from the Iron Watch review. So a long time ago I did this review on this particular watch, and as much as a lot of you guys liked the watch, many of you said, why on earth have they put a display case back on that Miyota 9015, because the movement is as boring as hell. And that always resonated with me actually when you said that in the comments, and this has been a great opportunity, an opportunity to actually blue those screws. And there is a lot of screws to be blued on that particular movement. Now with this, I just took them out and heated them up, and they blued straight away, and I quenched them. Trying to get them all to match was a bit of a challenge. Some of them I had to do more than once, but the overall finish I think is exceptional. Now I'm going to put some different footage of that up now, and hopefully you can see that. I think it looks really good. I'm proud because it's something I've done myself. I've never modified a watch, believe it or not. I've just repaired them. So this as filming with a bit of pride, actually. I was really pleased. Of course, I can take that to work, I can show that to my colleagues and friends, and it will go right over their heads and they won't mean anything to them at all, whereas, you know, I would want to talk about it for hours. So as I show you again the NH35 blued screws, let's talk about the actual cost of this product. It is $165 US, so I don't know what that is in pounds off the top of my head, 150, maybe a little bit less. I do have a discount code actually, which I'll leave below, and that's going to also give you 10% off that. Let's just bring in the Myota. This is my proudest achievement, to be honest with you. I absolutely love the way these screws have blued. You know, so 165, maybe that sounds a bit much. I don't know, but it comes in nice packaging. It's all there for you, plus their videos, which are exceptional. You will learn, as I have, from their videos, and that's vital at the end of the day. And it's a kit that you're going to use time and time again. I can see myself doing this, perhaps even on my next restoration video, just for the hoot of being able to do it at the end. Who knows? So yes, everything in watchmaking is expensive. Potentially, in theory, you could make your own setup to do this. It's not particularly difficult. But I think with the, like I say, the tuition, the tools that they provide, and the packaging, the way it is presented, it's all there for you. It's all convenient, and you can't really go wrong. And still, what a great product! What a great idea for us modders and watchmakers alike to have a kit that they can add another string to your bow. Here we have this lovely box, and inside this is their professional watchmaking kit. So it provides all the tools, and it's actually got one of their dress watches from their Mosul range. But I've got to show you this because I am still really impressed. If you're just getting into this hobby, here you can get a watch, you can actually build it, and you've got all the tools as well. Great gift idea, but equally something you can treat yourself on. Now, if I had something like this when I started out, I'd have loved it, to be honest with you. So I'm just going to quickly go through what is in here, and then of course we'll build the watch. So self-explanatory. We've got a loop here, a ×3 loop, and that will clip on your glasses. Now there is also a headband in here. We've got the air pump, which is essential for cleaning the dust. We have a case opener, pretty self-explanatory, but potentially very necessary. We'll go into these little boxes shortly. A nice small little movement cushion. Okay, it's faux leather, but then equally the one I use on my channel all the time is faux leather too. Always nice to have more than one of those. Of course, in here we're going to have various instructions. So if you were buying the watch, of course, look, we've got the discount card again, and the Mosul series. So again, you can watch how and learn how to build the watch if you've not done it before. But here we go. This is the bits that I really do like. So we've got a case knife. It looks like the version knife, but it isn't. Of course, it's just their own version. We have some pegwood, actually quite nicely shaped on the end there, so you can use that for holding parts in position. The standard tweezers again. Then we have these. Now I really do genuinely like the feel of their homemade tools. I've already got one of their screwdrivers from the last set, and I use it quite a lot. But joy with with the shafts like this is you can actually change the end, so you could put a Persian end in that and still have the functionality. I just like the weight. You know, these are the sort of screwdrivers that I'm using on a daily basis, and you can see they're completely different. I prefer this larger end, find it much easier to work with. So very well thought out. Here, bring it up to the camera, they've adapted to use as hand pushers. So we've got the hand pusher there, and then this no doubt will be for a second hand. It's a shame they're not screwdrivers, and I probably will change them to be screwdrivers after I've done this presentation. And speaking of screwdrivers, of course, there is one there also. And then we have a pretty decent set of hand levers. To me, they're just a little bit wider than I would like. Just trying to get mine. So I use the Horotech 2.5 millimeters, and you can see they're a lot smaller. I personally prefer these, recommend these all day long, but they are a lot more expensive. But that said, these are quite well polished on the backs. So some of the cheap ones you see aren't polished very well at all, and you run the risk of scratching. So all in all, these I think are going to be pretty good, and I will use them at some point in one of the videos, and we'll see how we get on with them. But this box is not done yet because it is full of layers. So of course here we have the watch strap that we're going to need. We've got the case, we've got a movement. In here from memory is more hands. Not that I need any more hands, or is that actually the dial? That's actually the dial, my apologies, but there is some more hands available in this box. And then this also lifts out, and we've got more bits stashed away. So here, not applicable for this set actually, but that is the pin remover for certain watch bracelets, so you can adjust them. Of course, a lot of the ones I'm seeing nowadays have got screw pins, but if they haven't got screw pins and just through pins, as I like to call them, then that is going to do that job for you. And then in this box here we have the rest of the tools. So you get the phone stand. You might think, why have you got a phone stand? Because if you're doing this for the first time, you can follow along to their videos, put the stand on your desk, and away you go. Pretty good idea. The eye loop wire, as I described before. Another screwdriver with a much bigger end. That realistically is possibly for a rotor, but then we're not fitting a rotor on this particular watch. And then here we have some spare ends, which again we can use, I guess, in one of these tools. And they look like pusher ends to me, so we can use those again to adjust spring bars, things like that, which is again quite useful. And of course you could then recycle this box. Now that is everything that's in the box. It's laid out very, very nicely. If you wanted to see the other type of kit, then that's in my previous video, which I'll leave a link up for anyway. So pretty good introduction into watchmaking. You've got everything you need here to build this watch. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to set up, I'm going to use their tools, use the hands that I've just blued, and build this watch. Here we are with the movement for the Mosul, and in this one it's the Myota 8315, which in actual fact is a pretty reasonable movement. It's got 60 hours power reserve, the usual hand winding and hacking, and you've also got some, I don't know if you could be able to see this if it focuses, the Côte de Genève striping, which is very attractive. And unfortunately for me anyway, the screws on this movement are already blued, so that's a bit of a disappointment because I would have liked to have done them. Now I have removed the rotor. According to their instructions, DIY instructions, you shouldn't do that, but of course I'm a little bit more advanced, or at least I like to think I am, and I find that without the rotor attached, it's not going to move around, because the movement will spin around all over the place when you're trying to put the hands on, and that is quite distracting. I have, however, as you can see, fitted the plastic movement spacer for the case. So I've got to put the dial on and the hands and case it. That's basically all I've got to do here, and that should be a little bit of fun because it has a really nice dial. Now you will see the dial in more detail, but I'm just going to sort of offer it up a little bit now just so you can see. That is a classic. It's like a, I forgot what you call it, you know, not radial, starburst finish. Silver, sort of champagne-y colour, so reminiscent of hundreds of vintage watches that I've seen and actually serviced. So it's nice to see something with that type of dial on a brand new watch. So I'm going to fit that properly, and then we'll cut back and I'll put the hands on. I'm going to fit my second set of hands that I blued, and it's with an enormous sense of pride, to be honest with you, as well. and that's genuine. I can, however, see myself bluing the rest of the hands that came in with the watch, perhaps to make some different styles and try them all out. Why not? Now I'm going to try to fit that using the pushers that they have provided. And just a little lopsided on this one. Okay, offer up the next one. And here is the finished watch on my wrist, and I think it looks pretty nice. It's got a vintage vibe about it, but it's in a 39mm case, which might appeal to more people, because let's face it, vintage watches are 33mm to 36mm, there around. The strap that this is supplied on is a much better quality leather than the stuff that I buy off the internet, so it really does suit it well. Now, I've genuinely really enjoyed using this bluing kit. I've now got another feather in my cap into this hobby, and one that I'd never really considered until this kit actually came along. Now, okay, I'm fortunate DIY Watch Club sent this to me for review, but that being said, it would have still been something I would have considered to buy if I'd actually seen it online. It's been fun to try something different out rather than just a new tool or a repair or maybe a watch review. The process of bluing hands and the screws is enormously satisfying, and it's actually quite an art form to get the consistency right with the colour, something I really do need to practice on. But it also answers that question for me of the blued screws that you see in these cheaper watches, and my cynicism that they're either anodised or coated rather than blued. I think to try and do this en masse would be quite difficult, and let's face it, doing it by hand is much more of an art form. Seeing the hands that I've just blued on that watch fills me with loads of pride. You know that feeling you get when you fix a watch for the first time and that balance turns? It is just like that. It's another first, and for that I'm going to be proud and wanting to show it off. So I've got to thank DIY Watch Club for letting me do this hands-on review of this kit. So guys, please check out their website below. You can see this kit and you can see all their other watch kits that are available. And if you're interested in being or getting into the hobby of watchmaking, then one of their kits might be a great place for you guys to start, because you're going to get the tools, you're going to get the tuition, and of course you get a watch at the end of it. And that may then spur you on to try and do more advanced repairs on some of the vintage watches. And remember, of course, there also will be below a discount code, which I think is going to give you 10% as well. So finally, please like this video if you've enjoyed it. It helps significantly with the algorithm. So if you want to help this channel, then please hit that like button. The more likes, the better. Of course, click the subscribe button if you think it's worth subscribing to, and leave comments below, because I will read every single one of them. Check out my Facebook group, Retro and Vintage Watches and Restorations. There's 10,000 nutters in there, all talking about watches 24 hours a day. And finally, why not check out my Instagram, My Retro Watches, where I try to post as much as I can in there, what watch I'm wearing, what projects I'm working on, that kind of thing. So hopefully see you on Instagram, but I'll certainly see you in the next video. So thanks very much for watching. Bye for now.